Hi guys, this is Vaish from Vaish IAS and we are going to continue our Spectrum series. We had done till chapter 9's part 1 and also chapter 12 which was merged with chapter 7. We have our videos all in our playlist already. So those who are not able to find our videos, please check in the playlist in our channel. Anyway, we don't have much videos in our channel, so it will be quite easy anyway. So chapter 9, where we started with the national movement from 1990 to 1939. The last video we had a lot of content where we saw the arrival of Gandhi also into India and all the movements taken up by him. So this will be the second part. We'll have two more parts for this chapter. And today we'll see most of the revolutionary activities and how Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad and many others were protesting against the government in their own ways. So let's begin without any further delay. So last time we stopped with extremists and revolutionists. So now we have to see some more splits within the Indian National Congress or the difference in ideology. We have already seen Surat split, and in the Lucknow Pact of 1916 they had again reunited the moderates and the extremists. So now we'll see what is Swarajists and no changes. Last time, if you remember, 1922, after Chauri Chaura incident and after the withdrawal of non-cooperation movement by Mahatma Gandhi, he was arrested for 6 years, and he has also told a statement like uh, he is ready to take up any punishment given by the law because he understands that Chauri Chaura incident was a non-violent, a violent means of protest, and it was wrong. So he was ready to accept punishment, and he went to the jail. So after that, after Gandhi was in jail, the INC people lost the leader again, and they came into conflict. But this time it was within the moderates itself. It was not a problem like moderates versus extremists. It was within the moderates itself over the ideology of council participation. Few wanted to be a part of the council and make constitutional reforms. Okay, the others wanted to be a part of constructive work which they could do outside. They wanted to make the people ready for another mass movement like the non-cooperation movement. They wanted to do useful work outside the council. So we'll see how it got split. Although it was not like Surat split, which was like a total walkout of the extremists from the Congress, this was a two type of thought process, two schools of thought developed. That was Swarajist and no changes. So we'll see Swarajist, like the pictures you see from left, it is Chittaranjan Das. I put that particular picture for two reasons. One, to show you the name, the title which is given to him, Deshbandhu, and also to tell you like a coin has been released in his memory. Okay, and second one is Motilal Nehru, father of Jawaharlal Nehru, and third one is Ajmal Khan. So these three were the Swarajists. So we'll see what were their ideology. They wanted to stop the boycott of the Legislative Council. That means after the non-cooperation movement, they wanted to enter the council actually, and they wanted to use it as a tool for political struggle, end or mend, but make it work right. Okay, they wanted to be part of the system and then change the system. So this is C.R. Das, Motilal Nehru and Ajmal Khan. And one important fact for prelims is they both, C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru, actually forms a Swarajya party later on. You should know who started the Swarajya party. It is C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru. There are similar names, that is why I am giving you such names, Swarajya party by these people, and there was another Swatantra party. We'll deal with it sometime later in the series, but if you know it already, you can mention it in the comments who started the Swatantra party. Okay, next is no changes. Like you see in the pictures from left, Rajendra Prasad, Vallabhbhai Patel, C. Rajagopalachari and M.A. Ansari. So Indian government has launched stamps for all these famous personalities at one point of the time. Okay, now continue boycott of Legislative Council. So they were totally against what the Swarajists believed. They wanted to be boycotting everything and focus on constructive work from outside, like I told earlier. And they wanted to be ready for next civil disobedience movement. So the leaders again, which I mentioned. So remember, there was a difference in thought process, and they were split into Swarajist and no changes. We'll see some more details about them. Both the groups had a common thing, that was they saw Gandhi as their ultimate leader. A compromise was reached finally in 1923, that is within a very short span. 1922 they split up, and 1923 they again come up with a compromise. Why? Because elections were due at that time. You know, like whenever elections happens, everyone will come together because that is the need of the hour. Swarajists were agreed to fight elections as a group within INC and also join councils. So now everyone is part of council and they will fight elections. Powerful manifesto against selfish interest of British. So they prepared a strong manifesto against all the selfish interest of British so that they could gain more votes and they could be a majority in the council. Gandhiji's attitude. He was released in 1924. Like if you remember, 1922 for 6 years he was arrested, but because of his poor health condition, he was released from jail in 1924. Initially opposed, later supported them. Who? The Indian National Congress people or the leaders at that time. 1925, C.R. Das dies. Also, communal rights and splits among Swarajists itself happens. So now we saw like INC moderates first divided into Swarajist and no changes. Now Swarajist is again dividing responsivist and non-responsivist. Actually, a mains question had been asked recently based on these split ups within the Congress party. So you should know all these details which I have mentioned in the last 2 slides. So who were the leaders under responsivist and non-responsivist? It is Lala Lajpat Rai, Madan Mohan Malaviya, N.C. Kelkar. All were basically little bit of pro-Hindu also. They were the responsivist. And non-responsivist is Motilal Nehru. He was actually called as a beefeater and anti-Hindu. Okay, so you should know like Motilal Nehru was part of non-responsivist and also part of Swarajist. You should know in whichever split up where he stands. Okay, because Nehru becomes very important in this chapter. Not this chapter, in the subsequent videos I am telling. Nehru report will come, then Jinnah report will come, Gandhiji's 11 point will come. There are a lot of factual pointers which you need to remember because UPSC can ask on any of these topics. By 1930s, now we are moving ahead of the timeline, okay? And by this time you should know like Gandhi had become the president of Indian National Congress once. If you know the year, tell me in comment section which year did he become the president of Indian National Congress. Immediately the next year it was Sarojini Naidu. So if you know Gandhiji's year, you will know Sarojini Naidu's year also. If you know, well and good, tell us in the comments, or later we'll learn when we learn Indian National Congress presidents in detail. So Swarajist ended and walked out of Lahore session. Lahore session is when Purna Swaraj was declared. In the previous chapter we had learned when was the term Swaraj first time mentioned in a Indian National Congress session. Try to recall it. Okay, or if you don't remember, watch that video again. Now we'll see the Swarajist and no changes individually what were their achievements. If you remember, we had seen in detail what were the achievements of moderates. Similarly, we have to see Swarajist and no changes because their ideas were totally different. One wanted council entry, one did not want council entry. So we'll see what all were the achievements and drawbacks of each of them. The Swarajist outvoted government many times. Okay, they were inside the council and they outvoted government many times. They were good at giving speeches and they were very strong in the council and they raised voice for all the important issues. Vittalbhai Patel even got elected as a speaker of the council. So an Indian is getting elected as a speaker. Defeat of Public Safety Bill in 1928. The Public Safety Bill is there which is very important. We'll see again when Bhagat Singh comes into picture. Okay. It was actually to deport some Englishmen who were actually helping the Indians. So we'll see that later again. See, same thing, deporting undesirable foreigners. Some foreigners were helping the Indians actually in their movement, so they were being deported. So this bill was for that, and this was defeated. So if it has to be defeated, you know it has to secure that many votes. So the Swarajists being in the council, they could defeat this bill. Exposed 1919 reforms. Filled political vacuum. So whatever was there pending or whatever vacuum was there, because all these people were busy in non-cooperation movement, it was being filled. It exposed all the blunders, all the mishappenings of 1919 reforms also. And what were the, now we saw the positive things, we see the negative things also. The connection was masses were still absent because they were busy in their council work, they could not connect to the masses. they could not resist perks and powers because they were enjoying the council perks. They did not even uh, feel like leaving their seat in the council. They could not get support of Muslim leaders. Okay, a few of the leaders, like I told, were considered pro-Hindu, and that is why they could not get the support of Muslim leaders. But you should know, like there were Muslims also, like Ajmal Khan. We saw the picture. Swarajist Ajmal Khan was part of Swarajist. Now we'll see note changers who wanted to connect with the masses and do productive work. Ashrams sprung up in tribals and lower castes. So this is the time when a lot of ashrams were set up. If you know, Gandhi also wanted a lot of ashrams for the lower caste people to be set up across India. National schools and colleges were set up. Significant work in removing untouchability. So if you see, most of the things are Gandhian principles. Boycott of foreign goods. Hindu-Muslim unity could be seen here. Constructive work, backbone for CDM, Civil Disobedience Movement, which happens later. This was setting up or making ready the people for that. Now, what are the negative points? Enthusiasm for national education was only to show protest. That means they were setting up schools and all these things, but it was just short-lived. It did not actually encourage the Indian schools too much. Only social angle, not economic angle. So they were doing everything for the society, but how to gain profit or how to make Indian economy strong, nothing was being done by the note changers. Khadi promotion, more costly, and it became more costly. Khadi was being promoted. Even now, the Indian Prime Minister is promoting Khadi, and everybody cannot make Khadi actually. It is reserved for certain section of the Indian economic society. So these were basically a lot of information about Swarajist, no changer, responsivist, non-responsivist, the leaders, and the happenings between 1922 and 1930. So please make a note of all these things. Also the public safety bill, what it is. Now we'll see more things, and this is especially with respect to prelims. A lot of factual information were there in about 4 to 5 pages. So we have put everything in one slide. I want you to make note of it because you will easily forget these things because it's mostly factual. Please make a note. Spread of Marxism, communism, and socialist ideas. These were happening across the world at that time. And within the Congress, a left wing was beginning to develop. Okay, now if you see 1920, the actual leftist party, the CPIM or CPI, it has not yet started. But meanwhile, within the Congress, a left wing was being started. That is Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose, who was very young at that time. 1920, you can imagine, they were young. Inspired by Russian Revolution and dissatisfied by Gandhian style of politics. So they were going to the leftist methods because they were dissatisfied by non-violent methods and soft politics. So and it was against capitalist landlords. If you know, now also the CPI or left parties are always talking of Marx policies or communist policies where everybody should be equal and the profit, everything should be distributed among all equally. There should be no concept of capitalism. 1920, Communist Party of India formed at Tashkent by M.N. Roy and Abani Mukherjee. So outside India, it was formed at Tashkent. Tashkent is the capital of which country? Try to tell it in comments. So Communist Party of India was formed outside India. 1924, the Kanpur Bolshevik conspiracy case happens. So you should know this is related to Kanpur conspiracy. When you get a question, you should know it is related to the left-wing leaders. Okay, because we have seen a lot of conspiracies already. We have seen Delhi conspiracy with Sachin Sanyal and Rash Bihari Bose. We have seen Muzaffarpur conspiracy. We have seen I think Nasik conspiracy. So as and when the chapter is proceeding, you will get more such information. So learn to relate, and you should know which happened where and what was the actual event. 1925 was the time when CPI in India was formally announced at Kanpur. 1929, see the next one, Meerut conspiracy. Government breakdown on communism. 31 people were arrested. All these groups remain integral part of national movement within the INC. So Meerut conspiracy is again communist related. And here I think 3 Englishmen were also arrested. So you should know this. Meerut conspiracy and Kanpur conspiracy is related to communist leaders. Peasants' agitation was happening in 1928. Bardoli Satyagraha, which we will do in the peasants chapter, but you should know Vallabhai Patel was the leader, and this is the movement in which he got the title of Sardar. That is how he is called now, Sardar Vallabhai Patel. Growth of trade union was also happening at the same time. 1920, AITUC was found. Lala Lajpat Roy was the first president. You should know this fact. UPSC can ask the question, who found it actually? It will be M.N. Roy. If you remember, we had done this in the chapter, I think 2 to 3 chapters before, we have done this. AITUC was by M.N. Roy. Sorry, M.N. Joshi. And Chaman Lal was its secretary. Not very important, but you should remember Lala Lajpat Rai was the first president of AITUC. Tilak was one of the moving spirit. Major strikes against many industries. So you know trade unions, that's what they do. If anything is not against their benefits, anything is not in line with their benefits, they will go for strike. 1923, the first May Day was celebrated. You know May Day now, it is celebrated as Labour Day across India, and it's a national holiday. So the first May Day was celebrated in India in Madras in 1923. Caste movements were happening across India. In Madras, Justice Party, we have seen this already. Justice Party, self-respect movement where Periyar, E.V. Ramasamy Naikar, we've seen this in social movements chapter. Chapter 6, we have seen this in detail. Maharashtra, Bhaskar Rao Jadhav, Ambedkar, Satyashodak activities. Satyashodak Samaj is related to whom? This also was covered. Please try to recall and see the previous video if you do not remember. Because these are things which UPSC picks it up. We learned this, and while reading we remember everything, but while answering the questions we cannot recall who was related to what. So please try to recall. Punjab, Unionist Party by Fazal Hussain. In Kerala, K. Ayyappan. K7, Radical Eyavas. Eyavas is actually a caste within Hindu for which Srinarayana Guru had fought. Okay, you should remember that also. K7 also was mentioned in the same chapter, in chapter 6 again. So now actually the revolutionary activities, which is the prime focus in this chapter, in this particular video, we will be covering. If you see right hand side, the book Ram Prasad Bismil, he was hanged. Then Kakori incident, the train robbery, famous train robbery, which is shown in the movie Bhagat Singh movie. So this is the next movie which I want you aspirants to watch. Everything when we learn after the 1857 revolt, everything is there in a movie. So you can watch the movie so that you don't forget what you learn. It will just take you 2 hours, 2.5 hours to watch the movie. So instead of wasting time on Facebook or WhatsApp, whenever you have free time or whenever you are eating your food, try to watch these movies. All these movies are readily available in YouTube, or if you have the movie already with you, please watch it. Whether it be Gandhi movie or whether it be Mangal Pandey or the Bhagat Singh movies. All these are famous movies which will help you retain your knowledge. So we'll see a lot of bodies. These are just names. In detail we'll see in the next slides. Hindustan Socialist Republic Party, HSRA, was in Punjab, UP, Bihar, that is in the western side of India, and in the eastern side we'll have Anshilan Samiti and Yugantar, also called the Jugantar, in Bengal, and also the famous Chittagong raid. Okay, there's a movie for Chittagong also, I'll tell you when we teach Chittagong. Main reason, sudden withdrawal from NCM. If you remember, NCM was withdrawn after the Chauri Chaura incident. Gandhi went to jail. Subhash Chandra Bose also told very harsh statements like we should not have withdrawn at this time. In many international events, communism, all these were building up or steaming up the Indian youth to take up revolutionary activities. Major leaders were Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Sukhdev, Surya Sen, Chandrasekhar Azad. These are just few names, okay? And famous books are Bandi Jeevan by Sachin Sanyal. We have seen Sachin Sanyal multiple times. Bandi Jeevan is a book by him. Pattar Dabi is a book by Sharat Chandra Chatterjee. Remember these two names, Bandi Jeevan by Sachin Sanyal and Pattar Dabi by Sharat Chandra Chatterjee. Major journals in Bengali are Atma Shakti, Sarthi and Bijoli. Not very important, but it's mentioned in Spectrum. 1924, Hindustan Republic Association, HRA. This can be called one of the first bodies after first body in the western side of India. Okay, eastern side we already had Anushilan Samiti and Jugantar. So it was founded by J.C. Chatterjee, Ram Prasad Bismil, whose picture you see on the right top, and Sachin Sanyal. It was basically for armed conflict, meaning actual revolutionary work. So overthrew British, established Federal Republic of United States of India. This was their dream. okay, which will follow adult franchisee. That means everyone will get a chance to vote. Similar to the name of United States of America, they wanted Federal Republic of United States of India. This was their dream, HRA. 1925, major event, Kakori train robbery. They wanted funds because like following the Russian or Irish style, they always funded for their own activities by robbing the British government. So they will do a train dacoity, held train at Kakori, a village near Lucknow. Okay, robbed government's official cash. Many arrested, transported for life. So 4 were hanged. Bismil, Ramprasad Bismil, that is Ashfaqullah Khan, Roshan Singh, Rajendra Lahiri. You can see all these events also in Rang De Basanti movie. I am sure most of you would have at least watched Rang De Basanti. Even though it was taken in a more of commercial angle and not a period film, it has all the information about the Kakori train robbery. Sachin Sanyal, we already saw in the last slide also, last chapter also, Sachin Sanyal will be transported for life. He was sent to Kalapani. So later, when the 4 people were hanged, the next leadership will be taken up by Bhagat Singh, and also Chandrasekhar Azad and all will be part of it. So that time they renamed the Hindustan Republic Association to Hindustan Socialist Republic Association. So it is actually a movie still. It is clearly what happened. Ruins of Firoz Shah Kotla in Delhi. They meet together, and Ajay Devgan, who played the role of Bhagat Singh, he announces, from today we will be called as Hindustan Socialist Republic Association. That is why I am telling, please watch the movie. So you don't need to read this much text. You can watch that movie and learn the entire chapter itself. So Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Bhagwati Charan Vora, they were the important leaders. Common goal, socialism, because they were influenced from Russian philosophy. 1928, Saunders murder, which is the Lahore conference. So one more conspiracy you are learning, Saunders murder. This is actually a after effect of Simon's Commission. Simon's Commission we will do at the end of this chapter, end of this video. I will take a separate slide of Simon's Commission. As of now, you just know like Simon Commission happened because 1919 reforms, if you remember, Montagu-Chelmsford reform, they had put a clause like after 10 years they will review the whole thing. That means in 1929 they will review it. But seeing the problems in India 2 years before itself, that is 1927 itself, they thought to put a commission for it. That commission is Simon Commission. Simon Commission problem was everybody was white, meaning there was no Indians in that commission. To look into the problems of India, they should at least put one Indian, right? But they did not put. So because all white commission was there, agitations were shown by nationalists and revolutionists. So what happened was, Saunders was an officer, he ordered lathi charge. And Lala Lajpat Rai, who was an ideal figure and very senior most person at that time, the youth looked upon him, he actually died after being hit by lathi. So that revenge was taken by Bhagat Singh. If you see the pictures, these pictures are showing the same thing. This is a sculpture of the same thing. This is Ajay Devgan in that movie shooting Saunders, and Saunders is killed. So 3 people, Bhagat Singh, Rajguru and Azad will be, these 3 will execute Saunders. Later we'll see who all were executed for it, who all were hanged for it. So this is the famous quote, the murder of a leader respected by millions of people at the unworthy hands of an ordinary police officer was an insult to the nation. It was the duty of young men of India to efface it. We regret to have killed a person, but he was part of a parcel of that inhuman and unjust order which has to be destroyed. So he is telling Lala Lajpat Rai, who was the senior most leader, a simple police officer did not have any right to hit him and kill him for a protest which was a need for India. So revenge definitely had to be taken. They are sorry for the death what happened, but they had to do it because that is what is right according to them. That was Lahore conspiracy. 1929, a bomb was thrown in Central Legislative Assembly. HSRA now wanted the government and people to hear the voices. This is actually Bhagat Singh and I think Bhatukeshwar Dutt, 2 people. Yes, Bhatukeshwar Dutt. They both they know like they will be arrested, but still they were ready to take it, and they went and threw a bomb at Central Legislative Assembly. They did not want to kill anybody. They just wanted to make them hear like we are here protesting and you should take action, or you will have to face harsh consequences. If you see right side, this is a famous quote by him: if the deaf are to hear, the sound has to be very loud. So that is why the bomb was thrown. This is a newspaper article related to the same. And these three are Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev and Rajguru, who will be hanged later. They shouted the slogan of Inqilab Zindabad, and actually when bomb was being thrown, the obviously in parliament bills will be discussed. So what was the bill discussed? It is public safety bill and trade dispute bill. In one of the exam, this was also asked. What were the bills being discussed when Bhagat Singh actually threw the bomb at that assembly? So it is public safety bill and trade disputes bill. So they got arrested, and that was how their name spread across India. Everybody came to know about Mahatma Gandhi, and inside the jail also they will do hunger strike. That's also shown in Rang De Basanti movie. Jatin Das martyred on 64th day of fast. So Jatin Das was one person arrested. He actually died fasting for 64 continuous days without eating anything. And this was again a song, Sarfaroshi ki tamanna ab hamare dil mein hai. So this was along with Inqilab Zindabad popular at that time. And Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Sukhdev were tried in Lahore conspiracy case. So that is the whole story of Bhagat Singh. A lot of movies have come. Please watch at least the one which was acted by Ajay Devgan, for which he even received the national award. That movie is worth watching. The entire story will be clear for you, and also you will be proud about the revolutionaries. Chandrasekhar Azad, another famous revolutionary. He was actually always in disguise. He was famous for that. He will be in disguise, or he knows how to escape. He never what to say. No one could arrest him. No one could catch him. He was that much clever, and he could do all his missions successfully. He fled after the Kakori revolt, the train robbery incident. If you remember, after that he had escaped and was hiding somewhere, but he did not get arrested. He tried to blow up a train in which Lord Irwin was traveling. So see, he never stops doing what he wanted to do. But finally, some textbooks say that he was killed. Some textbooks say that he suicided with the one bullet which he had left. He shot himself. That is what is shown in all the movies also. If you see Rang De Basanti, the climax, Amir Khan will shoot himself. Alfred Park, which is at Allahabad. So these are the pictures which I was talking about. The rightmost picture is the original picture of Chandrasekhar Azad, and these are movie scenes or statues and comic scenes, magazine scenes. So this was the story of Chandrasekhar Azad. He was involved in almost all the important revolutionary activities in the 1920s. Next famous, so western side we have covered, we go to the eastern side. So Chittagong, this is actually the movie, the last right bottom what you see is the movie which I was talking about. Chittagong movie is a very excellent movie because the actors are Manoj Bajpayee and Nawazuddin Siddiqui. As you see, they played the Sen brothers, Surya Sen and I think Chandra Sen. Yes, Surya Sen and Chandra Sen were the leaders. So that roles were played by them. It's an excellent movie, and the story itself is very good. If you see in the poster, small kids are there. Teenagers were actually part of their army. They used sticks or guns. They even the whole story is about raiding an armory. So Chittagong armory raid is very famous. That entire thing is shown in the movie. It's again a very small movie, like a documentary, and it will be crystal clear. The entire Chittagong thing you will never forget. You can easily write 100 to 200 words answer if you watch that movie alone. So they called themselves the Indian Republic Army. Okay. The other one was Hindustan Republic Army. This is Indian Republic Army. It was led by Surya Sen, and even female leaders were there. Pritilata Vadedar and Kalpana Datta. You can see the pictures here. Gathered youth, school kids in large numbers, and it was highly secretive because kids after school and all will go to their camp and they will do training, and they were all ready once, and they could even capture one particular fort, or not fort, a police station kind of thing. It is shown in the movie. They cut the telegraph lines, the railways, they raided the army. They were successful initially, but because being kids or because not having modern artillery or guns, they had to finally surrender, or each one was killed or caught at one stage. In the movie it is shown Chandrasen is killed and Surya Sen is later caught. They proclaimed a revolutionary government. Initial success, later killed, arrested or hanged. So these are some more names of female leaders, because UPSC has a habit of asking this question also, who were explain about the female revolutionaries in Indian struggle. So Shanti Ghosh, Suniti Chanderi shot a magistrate. Beena Das point blank shot at governor during convocation. During her convocation, whoever was giving her the certificate, she shot him. a governor. So Beena Das, Shanti Ghosh, Suniti Sanderi, uh, Preetilata Vadedar, Kalpana Dutt. Okay, this is another scene from another movie which was based on the same thing, but this movie unfortunately did not do well, and so many people would not have even watched it. Khele Hum Ji Jaan Se. This is again the same thing where Abhishek Bachchan played the role of Surya Sen. Okay, this movie might be a little more popular because people would have at least seen something, scenes or something, but for UPSC aspirants, I would suggest watch Chittagong. That is a better movie for proper understanding of the whole incident. Film's perspective and mains fodder. This is again information or name of books or personalities. Government stand was they were totally against revolutionaries, police were let loose on them. Ideological rethinking, not always about individual heroism and violence. Okay, that means later they started to plan well, not like just do heroic activities. HRA manifesto abolished all systems which made exploitation of man by man. So they were against anything where a man is against another man. HRA organ, revolutionary. It is the name of an organ under HRA. Nationalization of railways and heavy industries. That is what they wanted to achieve. Nationalize all the public railways and industries. Ram Prasad Bismil, he appealed to the youth to give up pistols, work in open movement, not isolation. So he told like we should all come forward and come for mass struggle. This is all later section. Okay, earlier it was not like that. Later they began to believe in mass struggle. Hindu-Muslim unity was there. If you see, both Hindus and Muslims are part of revolutionaries. All have equal rights on products of the nature. So this is another book, Philosophy of Bomb, which was written by Bhagavati Charan Bohra. Try to remember, Bohra wrote something related to the bomb, Philosophy of Bomb. Bhagat Singh, he has helped establish Punjab Naujawan Bharat Sabha. So another body which is related to Bhagat Singh. Youth, peasants, workers should carry out political work effectively. Bhagat and Sukhdev also set up Lahore Students Union for open legal work. So you should know like they were not only doing revolutionary heroic deeds, they were doing social activities also by like setting up schools and bodies for the youth. Real revolutionaries are the villages and factories. This was a famous quote at that time. Immense faith in the masses. Peasants have to free themselves not only from the foreigner but also landlords. So what they believed is not only foreigners, even the Indians who were rich and were in the higher caste or higher class elite classes, they were to be fought. They also were against the actual development or betterment of Indians, the real Indians, the rural Indians. And it was fully secure as we have seen. One should come out from mental bondage of religion and superstition. These were all the ideology of HRA. One require immense moral strength and require criticism and independent thinking. So we should know you are strong only if you have the voice to criticize. If you are silent and only moving petitions, you are not mentally strong. You have to be morally, mentally strong and you should learn to criticize what is wrong. This is the Simon Commission, which I told last slide we'll be doing. 1927, Britain ruling party, Conservative Party feared defeat from Labour Party. So this is talking about back in Europe, back in England. Basically they had two parties. Like now we have the Congress and BJP in India. They had the Conservative Party and Labour Party. So Conservative Party who was in power feared defeat. That is why they preponed, one reason for preponing that Simon Commission from 1929 to 1927. They wanted to solve themselves and not allow Labour Party to come in and take all the credit. They did not want to, okay, same thing, they did not want to leave the reforms in Labour Party. They considered themselves as irresponsible. Also they considered Indians inefficient to formulate policy or reforms. So a 7-member all-white commission, which is also called the Indian Statutory Commission. It's actually Indian Statutory Commission, okay, because Simon was heading it, people called it Simon Commission. And you see the slogan, Simon Go Back. Faced huge hesitations and anti-Simon slogans from Indians. INC's response was, in the December session in Madras, under M.A. Ansari, you should know 1927, it was headed by M.A. Ansari, who was part of one particular group. In the beginning of this chapter we have seen. He was part of the No Changers, okay. Decided boycott the commission at every stage in every form. So he was strictly against it. Supported boycott Hindu Mahasabha and Muslim League under Jinnah. So everybody were against Simon Commission. This was another movement where everybody were in same voice. They did not. Okay, who did not support the boycott were Unionists in Punjab. If you remember in the 2-3 slides before, I have shown you Punjab movements were happening, and Justice Party in the south. So extreme west and extreme south did not participate in protesting against Simon Commission. This is the date, February 3, 1928. Simon Commission arrived in Bombay, faced black flags and slogan. Young leaders emerged, Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, like I told. Bodies like Punjab Naujawan Bharat Sabha, started by Bhagat Singh, Worker Peasant parties, Hindustan Seva Dal in Karnataka. All these people were there in the march. People came down heavily on them, and this is when Lala Lajpat Rai was hit by Lathi charge, and that is why Lahore conspiracy happened, because of which Bhagat Singh was hanged later. Impact, complete independence became the goal, ready to make our own constitution. So Indians were now clear of their goal. They did not want any other thing, they just wanted Purna Swaraj. So that was all. Let's see the MCQs. In 1925, Swaraj splits into two groups, responsivist and non-responsivist. Who among the following were the non-responsivist? This is covered. Please recall, or if you don't remember, watch it again and answer the question. Lala Lajpat Rai, Madan Mohan Malaviya, Motilal Nehru, or is it both A and B? Which of the following were reasons for rise of revolutionaries like Bhagat Singh in the late 1920s? This also we have seen. Rise of militant nationalism, the reasons we have seen. Check it again. Marxism, Russian Revolution, not much expected out of Congress leaders, hatred towards Gandhi and his non-violent methods. So what were the reasons? Whether anything is false or all the four are true? Which of the following were not related to Kakori? Who was not related to Kakori train robbery in 1925? Chandrasekhar Azad, Ashfaqullah Khan, Ram Prasad Bismil, or whether everybody were related? Please try to answer. Everything are easy questions now because you have learned the lecture right now, but later it will become difficult if you don't practice. So please make notes, practice it, read these kind of questions again, solve more MCQs. Buy the MCQs from us if you need the entire spectrum PDF, the MCQs I am talking about. Contact our Facebook page Vaishya AS. So we'll soon come up with part 3 of chapter 9, which will be more interesting because more and more we are getting closer to independence. So let's wait for it. Till then, thank you. Have a nice day.